Glad to have you back tonight on Powerlinks. I am Bolanle Oluchi Babalola. The Africa Energy Forum, under the auspices of ENERGYNET, is an annual event that brings together from all over the world participants with value addition to the energy and power sectors. It is touted as an extraordinary gathering of stakeholders, investors, under a potent atmosphere of deal-making, diverse and rich in nationalities, cultures, and focus. In this edition, we bring to you the perspectives and, of course, not forgetting to tell you that National Integrated Power Project was there.
Copenhagen, the beautiful and touristic capital city of Nordic country of Denmark and events. It is Africa Energy Forum. Expectedly, only representatives from the African continent grace the event, but energy issues are of global concern, hence the attendance by participants from all over the world. From top echelon of governments to service providers, manufacturers, project developers and sponsors, as well as the media, the list of who is endless. It is the 19th edition. With extensive interest and projects in the Nigeria's power sector, the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited, Chidu Ugbo, attended on behalf of the organization alongside top officials from diverse interests in the sector. As one of the executives puts it, the event is informative and a must attend in order to keep abreast of contemporary issues and developments. For 4 days, the Bella Center Copenhagen hosted the world players in the power sector to very tight schedule to broaden issues in a conducive environment. A country focused on Nigeria, insights into the next 5 years can be described as one of the foremost which stakeholders looked forward to. They attended to appreciate the unique story of Nigeria and give their perspectives. Moderator Michael Seal, Chief Executive Officer Pan-Africa Solar, led the panel discussions with some of the key players in the Nigeria's power sector, in public and private enterprises, giving explanations as the period under review appears promising through the commitments of the government to bring about change. The engagement was frank and sincere. The managing director of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited, Chiedu Ugbo, have good account about the vision of the federal government for the NIPP program of power infrastructure expansion, as all the participants speak on other salient issues after the engagement.
We're here, particularly myself, to give them hope that, look, Nigerian market might not be as is expected now, power market, but the government has done a whole lot. It's doing a whole lot to get the market to reset. The government is making interventions. There's strong political will. We have to let them know that, and that's what I'm telling them. There's strong political will on the part of President Buhari's government to ensure that the power sector performs the way it should perform and that Nigerians have light. So our contribution to that, as part of that political, we have contribution to that, to the president's mandate, is to ensure that NIPP's mandate, NIPP's investment, NIPP's projects are complete and they come on stream. That's what we're doing. We have a number, like somebody pointed out, we have a lot of transmission projects, we have a lot of distribution projects. We are working with the minister to make sure that these projects are complete and they come on stream. Even no matter the limitations we are going through, we are pushing to get them complete. So that's our take. So a lot of interest has been generated internationally from this kind of international event, and we are assuring them that Nigeria is the place to be.
The curiosity that investors from around the world have shown. The conference hall was full. Not a single space was left. They are all looking at business opportunities in Nigeria. Therefore, the government should make sure that all these interests that is being generated currently by international investors have materialized. And it will go a long way in making a lot of us who have been moving from continents, one continent or the other, to the other, trying to bring in investors for Nigeria. This has taken us quite some time. I'm glad that the end has justified the means today in Copenhagen. The whole capacity that was full without space is a clear indication that the mission for which we have been working in the last few years has materialized.
The government is committed to a power sector recovery plan which addresses these market failures. There's definitely the political will. The question is there the execution capacity? I believe there is, but I think it will take longer than people expect. And there will be a lot of pain along the way. There'll be political pain, there'll be contractual pain, there'll be restructuring, refinancing of businesses. And all these things, if you take a long enough viewpoint, were to be expected. It's hard for people at the moment. It's hard for many participants in the industry. But if I look out 5 to 10 years, I'm absolutely convinced that we will have a very vibrant market that is self-sustaining, that doesn't require government subsidies, for example. Will it happen overnight? Absolutely not. Will it happen in a 5 to 10 year period? Yes. Investors in this sector, if you're looking at making an investment that is less than 15 to 20 years, in terms of grid supplied electricity, you shouldn't be in the business. You need a very long-term perspective, you need deep pockets, and you need confidence in the Nigerian economy.
The Africa Energy Conference has shown something that we've seen consistently in the past 5 years, which is that there's a significant and great interest by foreign investors to do business in Nigeria. They recognize the size of the market and what we call power challenges today. They see that as an opportunity for investment. But the feedback we get is that there are a few things that Nigeria needs to do to attract this investment. But the good thing is also that we recognize these things and then the government is looking to address them. One of the things that are being said issues that are being raised here include a cost-reflective tariff. People believe that, for investment to be made, that the tariff have to be reflective of the cost and the input, and that power is a business and it's not something that just goes out in subsidy. The second thing that is being talked about is the issues of government providing guarantees. People recognize that guarantees won't be the way to go all the way, but for the beginning projects, it's important that there are guarantees to give people confidence to make that investment. But we who are Nigerians also say to them that, somewhere along the line, the government cannot continue to provide guarantees, that people have to believe that our market is stable, but we recognize that we have to do some work.
Another working roundtable is on direct foreign investment, DFIS. Again, with focus on Nigeria under the title, How Can DFIS Lead Investment in Nigerians' Transmission and Distribution?
Distribution and transmission infrastructure are critical on the power sector value chain. It is the guarantee for efficiency towards addressing some of the economic growth challenges in Nigeria. The two are present under the private sector control, which operates the distribution arm, and government ownership of transmission infrastructure are all desirous of more adequate funding to tackle the challenges. To walk the talk, the organizers of the forum brought together international investor partners and African stakeholders to brainstorm on possibilities. However, one of the crucial issues that dominated discussions is the consensus on fixing the right pricing of electricity for consumers to pay. It is the backbone of investment and logical as well as beneficial to the entire electricity market of Nigeria.
Electricity is not for free worldwide. You have to pay for what you consume. But I think on the part of the disco, we have to try and meter people so that they know exactly what they're consuming. People also have to make sure that they're not just turning on their electricity and leaving it unattended to. If you're not in a room, switch off your air conditioner, because at the end of the day, your bill will be very high. So basically, this is a time to create awareness, to preach power conservation so that people know what to utilize. But by and large, the electricity business has to be structured in such a way that those on R1, R2 can still be subsidized to an extent, but those that are the major consumers actually need to pay their tariffs and make sure that what they consume is actually what they're paying for, and that is by installing meters. So for now, there's a lot of work to be done in this fact that the distribution companies and the government and everybody needs to make people aware of the fact that electricity is not for free anymore, and that if you're bypassing, there'll be consequences for those bypassing.
Most of the people who attended this session from the international community really are afraid of coming to Nigeria to invest. They say that without cost-reflective tariff, they are not coming at all. There is no point in coming to invest where they can't recover their investment. And it's a shame because it's not so difficult for Nigeria to do this. Because the currency also is sliding, it makes it even more difficult. The currency, as the currency slides, you need to also have to keep up with the tariff. So we know that on a government side, that the issue would be, okay, people would rebel. But that's why if it's a chicken or egg situation, if we don't have cost-reflective tariff, there won't be any power. So there must be cost-reflective tariff, but then it becomes possible to hold distribution companies and generation companies to what they sign. They have to be able to deliver on all that they signed to do, without which it's also a problem. But what they usually run to say is the government is not keeping its own part of the deal. And so government needs to keep its own part by finding the will to do the correct thing in terms of cost-reflective tariff.
Fundamentally, you need to solve the market problem, which is critically revolves around tariffs. So the tariffs have to go back up in dollar terms to the level which is sustainable for the industry as a whole. That's point number one. You also need the bulk trader to stand very firmly, and that is its job, as a break between the temporary insolvency of the distribution companies and the need for the generating companies to be paid, and also to demonstrate that the government stands by its contractual obligations. We have a lot of stranded capacity. We need to bring that online, and to do that we need the market to work. So we need our generators to be paid in full so that they can pay their gas suppliers, so the gas suppliers can make investments in gas processing. And so that side of the balance sheet will be fully satisfied and responsible, and then you can put pressure on the distribution companies to make sure that they increase their remittances. You have to increase tariffs, otherwise you have no ability to put them under pressure to fulfill their side of the contractual bargain.
Similarly, another roundtable also exclusively brought together international investor partners and African stakeholders to look at the growing investments from China in power sector. Nigeria is a beneficiary as China participates in the construction of the Mambila hydroelectricity project with about $5 billion worth of funding. Perspectives differ about reliance on this kind of arrangements.
Now, with the Chinese having flooded the continent and really doing what the West in many respects have never done, the fundamental lessons learned from that experience should apply here. And that trust can only be fertilized on those very premises. I believe we can trust the Chinese, but then we must draw from the lessons learned from those previous long indebtedness Africa seems to have hailed from. Whether you look at the oil and gas sector, mineral sector, name it, tourism sectors, we have to use a multitude of lessons to solidify our case with the Chinese going forward. Once we've mastered that, we can allow anyone, for that matter Chinese, to come in and help with the development of Africa.
Chinese government has invested over $30 billion in infrastructure development in the African continent. And that is not enough. The president has announced that another amount of $50 billion has been set aside to develop Africa's power sector. As if that is not enough, the Belt and Road Forum that took place in May in Beijing with overwhelming attendance by world presidents has also come with another promise of unspecified amount of funds to go into development of power, water, rail, telecommunications, all in order to develop the continent of Africa. There is no government in the world today that has demonstrated a very strong sense of commitment, with all modesty, than the Chinese government.
The 19th Africa Energy Forum similarly presented a wide range of options in renewable energy, which the federal government is exploring as part of Energy Diversification Initiative. The National Integrated Power Project is already working in that direction through the off-grid solar power solutions. The NIPP is deploying under its first phase 20,000 homes across the country. In the next edition of PowerLinks, power infrastructure development as a panacea for industrial revolution in a changed environment will be our focus. And remember, you can still follow us on this program by sending your feedback or comments as well as inquiries through these platforms on your screen. And on behalf of the production crew and myself, we say thank you for watching. I am Bolanle Oluchi Babalola.